Hello, I'm Paul Pluta from Paul Pluta Prestige, and today I'd like to talk about a vintage Breitling Datura. Now this is a really fabulous piece, and this is a piece I reviewed in another video, and what it is, it's a triple date Breitling Datura vintage piece, and I've got to say this is really, it's really shows you why, you know, the enthusiast would go out and buy a Jaguar E-Type Series 1 3.8 instead of going and buying the latest XKE from the dealer. And you look at these vintage pieces, they've got such an aura, they've got such a feeling to them, and they're just wonderful. And this Datura here, it's almost like a barn find, and he's very lovingly restored it without over restoring it, and it's just fabulous. And I really do love vintage triple dates, and it's quite an amazing triple date, being you just need to adjust it for the months, because it goes to 31. You've just got to wind it forward for the months, and normally as a pusher you adjust to do that, and a perpetual calendar, of course, it takes track of that. But a triple date, it's a lot cheaper to manufacture than a perpetual, but it's still quite a complex piece. It's got a lot of parts in it, and a lot of skill has gone into the triple date. And makers like Vacheron had the Toledo triple date, and that's a fabulous piece. The Breitling Datura, it's just this vintage piece here. It's just beautiful. I mean, you look at vintage pieces, and this is where the love for fine vintage watches comes from. This is just, you know, this is like finding a Bugatti. You know, it's just beautiful. And vintage pieces, the thing about Breitling that I dislike is that they've become extremely commercial. They've gone and put Valjoux 7750 movements in them, and okay, they're starting to do in-house stuff now, but they missed the boat by a long shot. And you know, it's all very commercial, and you know what I'm saying. But the Breitling Datura, this is when, you know, Patek would have gone to Lemania for movements. They would have gone to Jaeger-LeCoultre for movements. And there's a lot to be said for these vintage pieces here. And they're a completely different animal to anything new from Breitling. And I think, you know, many of these vintage pieces, you can see why they've got an aura to them. And although I'm very much a modern collector myself, I do have a lot of respect for these vintage pieces, and they're just superb. Okay, let's do the Paul Pluta rating. On this piece here, we're going to give the brand a 7. We're going to give the model and the significance for the brand, we're going to give it a 9. For the movement itself, we're going to give it an 8. The overall quality, finish and workmanship, another 8. And finally, the Paul Pluta Prestige rating number, we're going to give it another 8. And we tally that all up, and we've got a score of 40, which is very good for Breitling to achieve. I'm Paul Pluta from Paul Pluta Prestige, and I hope you've liked this review on the vintage Breitling Datura.